Hey guys, so for today's video I have a dupes tested video, and pretty much in this video I'm going to test out some dupes that I've either heard of or you guys recommended, because I asked you guys on Snapchat to send me over some dupes that you've heard of but you want me to put to the test for you guys. So I did a couple of those. I also Pinterested some and Googled some and went on Instagram and looked for some. So in this video I test out dupes that I've never tested out before side by side, and I tell you guys whether or not I think it is a good dupe or not. So if you are interested in checking out this makeup look and how I tested out some dupes to create it, then keep on watching. Okay, so I already have a primer on and a little bit of green color corrector because I had a nasty pimple there. We're gonna start off with foundation. So a potential foundation dupe is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid and the Maybelline Matte and Poreless. I actually love both of these foundations, but I didn't know they were dupes. I think the first time I tried this long time ago, I kind of had the thought of this in my mind of possibly being a dupe, but I never really looked into it. And then this morning I actually saw it on Pinterest saying that it's a dupe. So let's go ahead and try it out. But this is the NC37 shade in the MAC Studio Fix Fluid. And I'm going to take one pump of this. And then on this side, we're going to test out the Maybelline Matte and Poreless in the shade 220. So I'm going to take my Beauty Blender and blend that out. Now I'm going to use the side of this Beauty Blender to blend out the MAC one. It dries down a little slower than the Maybelline one, but they both kind of do dry fairly quickly. Like, you kind of got to work with them quickly. I would definitely say that they're really similar. The Maybelline one dries down to a more powder matte finish, whereas the MAC one takes a little longer to dry down, but it does dry down to a matte finish, just not a total powder matte. They both have the same amount of coverage, nice medium to full, but closer to full, and the Maybelline one blends out easier, whereas the MAC one is a little thicker. But all in all, if I think they are dupes or not, I would say they are dupes, just definitely not 100% dupes, but they're pretty close dupes. Okay, so the next dupe I'm really excited for because this dupe blows my mind. I have been seeing this going around forever now. I've seen so many people say that the MAC Fit Me Concealer is a dupe for the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer, which blows my mind because I love this concealer and I hate the NARS one. Like, they are polar opposite. I love this Maybelline concealer. It's very creamy, very hydrating, a nice medium coverage. And the NARS one is definitely more of a cakey, dry, doesn't blend out kind of concealer. So I mean, those are literally polar opposites. We're gonna test it today actually on the face so you guys can see what you think, and so I can see what I think side by side. I don't know if you guys can tell, but even as I'm spreading the product, you see how this just highlighted my pores? I gotta zoom in here for a second so you guys can see this. I don't know if you guys can see this right now, but you see how it literally highlighted all my pores and does not happen here. So one side of the pointy tip of the Beauty Blender, I'm going to blend out the Maybelline one, and it just blends out super easy. I love this concealer. So now I'm going to blend out the NARS one on the other side of the Beauty Blender. You already got some creasing going on and it already looks very dry and cakey. So total different coverage. I would say this is medium, this is full, this is cakey, this is dry, this is hydrating. So I would say they're not dupes at all. I mean, I already had a feeling that they wouldn't be dupes, but because people kept saying it, I was like, I need to test them like side by side so I can just end the dupe rumor. Next potential dupe is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette and the NYX Contour Palette. Now, I have tested, obviously this is my holy grail, and I've also tested the NYX Contour Palette a couple times. I think twice I've tested it out, and I'm not a huge fan of it, gotta say, but I kind of gave up on it after trying it 2 times. And I saw on Pinterest this morning that people are saying that this contour palette is a dupe for the Anastasia one, but I also saw it's a dupe for the Kat Von D one. So I'm like, you know what, let's test it out. I've given up on the NYX one because I really didn't like it the first 2 times I tried it. But again, this is another one of those dupes that a lot of people keep saying are dupes and that they love the NYX one. So I'm really curious to just give it that last good old try and see how these compare. I'm gonna take the banana shade right here, and then I'm going to take the banana shade of the NYX one to set the under eye. Flipping the brush over to the other side, I'm going to take the Kat Von D one on this side here. When it comes to the banana shades, they are pretty close in dupes. I definitely would say that the Kat Von D one is a little smoother, whereas the NYX one looks a tad bit cakier in my opinion. After I set the face, we're gonna give this dupe a second try for the contour part. So I'm not gonna tell you guys whether or not I feel like they're dupes or not until I try the contour shade. So let's move on to setting powder. Okay, so this dupe I actually got from you guys. You guys know that I love both of these powders. I actually use this powder all the time, but you guys kept talking about the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores finishing powder in the comment sections of my videos. Every time I use this one, you guys talk about how this one is a really good dupe for it. So the first one we're gonna test out here is the NYX HD finishing powder on this side. Again, one of my favorite powders, so smooth, it looks super HD, and it just sets your foundation all day really nicely. So I'm just gonna take a little bit. So dusting this off, we're gonna use the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores finishing powder. This powder is like so flawless on the skin. So I'm excited to see like them side by side because you guys are telling me that they're dupes. And you guys never fail me. Yeah, they're definitely like so similar. So are these two dupes? I would definitely say yes, they are dupes. They both look super smooth, super flawless, and they both set the skin really nicely. Now we're going to bronze up the skin a little bit. This is a dupe that I kind of just was surfing through my own collection, and it just had like a light bulb in my head like, maybe these two are dupes. I kind of always had like a hinge that they might be dupes, but I've never actually tested them on the skin. So the first one here is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Bronzer. One of my favorite bronzers. Is really, really, really pretty. And then we have the Maybelline Foundation Face Powder in the shade Medium Tan 06. So these two are really similar in the pan. So I'm excited to see how they look on the skin. Super smooth, really flawless looking, blends really nicely. This is actually a great bronzer from the drugstore. So next I'm going to use the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Bronzer. Smells like chocolate. Can't beat them. So I know that this bronzer isn't as pigmented right now. Off the bat I can tell it's not as pigmented as the Milani one. The colors are really similar. I actually think these are definitely dupes to each other. So I would give this one a thumbs up, checkmark, dupe. Okay, so back onto the contour palette. The shade in the middle of the Kat Von D palette is the contour shade that I usually like to use. And the closest to that I would just kind of guess just off the top of the, like just by looking at it, is this one by NYX. So let's just go ahead and test that out. We're going to use the NYX one first. I just remember not liking these because they were super patchy, I found, and didn't blend out nicely, but let's give it a third try after a good couple of months of me giving up on it. I just find it's kind of patchy, kind of muddy. It looks kind of cheap, which is weird because NYX is really good at like doing really high quality products, but I guess this one was a little bit of a miss for me. People just kept comparing these two, so I was like, you know what, once and for all, I need to test them out side by side. So you see how flawless this one looks? I don't know, and then this one just kind of looks a little like cheap, right? I don't know. So I would definitely say that these two are not dupes. The Kat Von D one is just higher quality, blends really easily, looks super flawless. And I find that this one just looks kind of patchy, looks a little bit cheap on the skin, and has a tough time kind of blending out. So next dupe to test out is blush, and I kind of found this one just by surfing my collection again. I recently got sent this new blush by Tarte. This is in the shade Sensual, and it's a really pretty like peachy nude, even though it's kind of coming off slightly mauve on camera. As soon as I saw it, I was like, maybe the NYX blush, because I know I love this blush. This is the NYX blush in the shade Nude Tude. So I thought maybe they might be dupes to each other. I'm going to take the NYX one first in Nude Tude, which I already know this formula is more pigmented and more powdery than the Tarte blushes. Now let's try out Sensual. I'm just going to pop that on. Yeah, so these look super similar on the face. I would definitely say that the Sensual shade is a tad bit more pink, and this is a tad bit more nude. I mean, a tad bit more peach nude. So the way that they look on the cheeks is pretty much identical. I would definitely say that these are awesome dupes for each other. So check mark, definitely a dupe. So next we have highlighters to try. I have had these two in my collection for forever now, and I've done a lot of highlighter dupes videos. I've done a lot of dupes for different highlighters, but I've never really, I don't think I've ever come across these two as being dupes. I don't know why. I don't remember ever thinking that these two were dupes until I saw it on Pinterest the other day. So this one is the Balms Mary Luminizer, which is very, very popular. And then the e.l.f. Bank Highlighter in the shade Moonlight Pearls. So this is how the two look like in the pan. So let's go ahead and test out the e.l.f. one first. I'm going to pick up quite a bit of product because I like a good highlight. And just pop that on the tops of the cheekbones. I can just see that this is not giving me that like intense glow. It's more just like a natural glow. So dusting this off, I am going to pick up the Balms Mary Luminizer. I haven't used this highlighter in forever, but I remember this highlighter being super pigmented. I can already tell more pigmented than the e.l.f. one. And this one was super intense on the cheeks. So I think that the color shades of these, oh my god, yeah, do you guys see that? So much more like bam intense than the e.l.f. one. I would definitely have to say that these two are not dupes, unfortunately. However, they are colored dupes, so I guess it just kind of is personal preference on whether or not you're picky about the formula. Okay, so moving on to the brows. I have a dupe that I was hesitant on trying because I tested this out. This is the NYX Tame & Frame Tinted Brow Pomade. I tested this out long ago and I really didn't like it. I had a horrible experience with it. Again, I came across them saying that this Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade, which is my holy grail, is a dupe for the NYX one. So I thought maybe I just had a bad brow day. Maybe I just had a bad experience with this. Let me give it a second shot using the NYX one on this side. First, I am just going to outline the brow, and then I will fill it in and leave the front of the brow a little bit more empty to give it a nice natural kind of ombre effect. Yeah, so I'm definitely not a fan of the formula of this one. It's super slippery and wax-like, which makes it really hard to get a precise brow. So now I'm going to move on to the other brow and do the Anastasia Dip Brow in the shade Dark Brown. So another thing that I'm noticing is that the Anastasia one is definitely a little bit more pigmented as well. All in all, I would have to say that the NYX Tame & Frame Brow Pomade is not a dupe for the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. Okay, so I went ahead and primed the eyelids. Now moving on to eyeshadow dupe. I have been seeing these two dupes for the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette going around on Pinterest. I have two potential dupes here. I don't know which one I'm going to use, but I'm going to use one of them. People are saying that the Maybelline The Blushed Nudes palette is a dupe for the, let me open the Urban Decay one up, the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. I also have the CoverGirl True Naked, there's a lot of nakedness and nude going on right now, True Naked Roses palette. I think I might just go ahead and test out the Maybelline one just because not only does the packaging look similar in the kind of pink rosy shade, but I never have used this on camera with you guys, the Maybelline palette, so maybe it's something that you guys would be interested in seeing. First, we're going to start off with this shade right here from the Maybelline palette. Let me get my brush on it so you guys can see it. This nice shade right here. It's working pretty good so far. So now I'm actually going to go into the dupe shade of that from the Naked palette. I'm not having to dip in as much as I had to with the Maybelline one. So I just dipped a little bit into the Urban Decay one and I already got the same amount in one swipe, whereas the Maybelline one, as you guys noticed, I kept having to like dip in. By the way, I am using the same brush, but I honestly find that with these fluffy brushes, the product falls off after you use it. Like, it's literally clean afterwards. So next from the two palettes, I'm going to take Trick right here, and then I'm going to take this one from the Maybelline palette. So as much as I'm tempted to wet these shadows, I'm just going to try them dry first. And then maybe afterwards I will wet them so you guys can see how it looks. And then flipping over to the other side now, I'm going to take the same shade from the Maybelline palette. One thing I can say is the Maybelline ones are smoother and have less fallout just by me dipping it on the brush. Oh, And do you see that? The Maybelline one is actually more intense on the eyelid. Like, it has more of a sheen, more of a shimmer effect. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm actually getting better pigmentation, more shimmer, more shine going on from this Maybelline one, as opposed to this one is looking a little duller, which I actually prefer the Maybelline one now. So next I'm going to take this shade right here from the Urban Decay palette, which is just a really light pinky shade, and then I'm going to take this one from the Maybelline palette. I'm going to use my fingers and just pop that on the inner, or sorry, not the inner corner, right in the center. So next I'm going to take this shade from the Maybelline palette and then Buzz from the Urban Decay palette right here. And I'm just going to use that to give myself a little bit of dimension, working on the outer corner there. So next I'm going to take this shade right here. This is a nice black, but it has a ton of this burgundy copper shimmer in it. And then the shade Black Heart from the Urban Decay palette. I think I want to do a little bit of a smoky black liner. So the Urban Decay one is so much more pigmented for the black. I'm not having to build it up as much as I did with the Maybelline one. Okay, so it was definitely a lot easier to do a smoky black wing with the Urban Decay Black Heart as opposed to the Maybelline dupe of it, just because the Maybelline one wasn't as pigmented, so I kept having to go on over top, keep going, and like layering it, but eventually it did kind of build up. Just keep that in mind that the black shade is the one shade in the palette that I would say is a total like formula difference and would really kind of make or break this palette if it mattered to you. But other than that, I feel like if the black shade didn't matter much to you, these are really awesome dupes. So for the lower lash line, I'm just going to pop on the same shades that I popped onto the crease and the outer corner and down there. And then I'm going to finish off the eye look with some mascara and a little bit of tight lining. And I will be back to give you guys a lippy dupe. Okay, so the eyes are complete and I'm so excited for this lip dupe because I actually recently just purchased and got in the mail the new Kylie lip kit in the shade Exposed. And I saw on Pinterest and also Google, yes, I Googled makeup dupes so I could test them. I Googled, okay? I Googled. So I saw that this Innocent Vixen LA Splash Lip Couture Waterproof Liquid Lipstick is also a dupe for it, but I also saw the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream from Pinterest. So I have two different ones here. Maybe we'll test the dupes out on my hand. So let's do swatches and see what the closest swatch dupe is. So here is Kylie Exposed. And then we have LA Splash Innocent Vixen. Ooh, so definitely not dupes. Womp, womp, womp. Okay, so let's start off with NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream first. I know this is not going to be as pigmented or as matte and dry as the Exposed. So the formulas might be a little different, but let's check out the colors. Okay, so now let's do Kylie Lip Kit in Exposed. I might actually mattify the NYX London more with some translucent powder. So I might do that because I think you guys will like seeing kind of the transformation to making it a full dupe. So let's just do Exposed. Yes, they're dupes. Like I can just tell off the color. Well, so far I can tell. Oh my god, so they are definite shade dupes. Oh my god, that is incredible. I'm surprised people found a dupe for it so quickly. To make it a full dupe here for you guys, I'm going to take some translucent powder. You can really take any. I'm just going to take the NYC one. I'm just going to take a fluffy eyeshadow brush and put that on to mattify it. They definitely look like 100% dupes now that I mattified it. I'm obsessed with this. So that is it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing me test out some dupes. If you guys have any other dupes to share in the comment section, then make sure you share them down below. Like, thumbs up this video for more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will of course see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Mwah.